Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Seming, and I have Kun with me, our CFO.
Hi.
Today we will be giving a presentation of Techbond to let you understand more about Techbond. Okay. So in a very general presentation or term that we can put to Techbond is that Techbond is an adhesive manufacturer of glue. We call it glue. Okay, in a very general term. Now, what do we do as a glue manufacturer? We basically manufacture water-based adhesive, we manufacture hot melt adhesive, we manufacture sealant adhesive. So in the adhesive world itself, there are actually a lot of different adhesive types. We can have more than 100 to more than 1,000 different adhesive in the glue family. But for Techbond, we make 3 different types of adhesive. Out of these 3 adhesive, we have about close to 400 different formulations. And I'll explain each of those so-called industrial adhesive, what are the differences and why do we need so many different formulations. Okay. Now, first one, water-based adhesive. Water-based adhesive is actually anything where you add water in, it will be water-based. And if you add solvent in, then it will be solvent-based, not water-based anymore. If it's 100% solid in our adhesive, that means there is no water, there is no solvent, then we will call that hot melt adhesive for our glue type, these 2 differentiation. Okay, so water-based adhesive, when you add water, it becomes water-based. If you don't add any water, it is hot melt. That means 100% solid content. Now, let me give you an example. Hot melt adhesive, if let's say we go to the market, normally when you buy glue stick, okay, glue stick is actually...
I disturb a bit. You speak slower a bit. The transmission voice from Zoom to Facebook, there's a delay by a few seconds. You don't speak too fast. Please continue.
Okay. Okay, Ken. So let me explain again on the hot melt adhesive. If we go to the market or we go to say hypermarket or say Mr. DIY, normally we will buy glue stick for DIY project. Glue stick is considered hot melt adhesive. That means in the glue itself is non-added water. There is no added solvent to dilute it or to actually melt it. Therefore, we need to apply heat to melt it so then we can apply the glue on the substrate to actually stick another substrate onto it. Okay, that is hot melt adhesive. On the other hand, water-based adhesive. Water-based adhesive is something where you use water to dilute the glue so that you can actually apply the liquid water-based glue on the substrate and it will actually absorb into the substrate so that when another piece of substrate, when you cover it, it will also flow into another piece of substrate, and when the glue or the water evaporates, whatever left over is the glue and it will bind the 2 substrates together. So this is a very general differentiation of water-based adhesive and hot melt adhesive. Okay, now these 2 types of adhesive, where is it being used? The first or the biggest segment that Techbond is actually having now is woodworking adhesive. Woodworking adhesive, if we go to the furniture shop, for example, if you look at most of the tables or chairs that we buy, most of them are actually glued together. I have one sample over here. This is actually 4 pieces of wood glued together. Okay, if we look from the side, you can probably see the color. 4 pieces of wood stick together. Okay, now this piece of wood is actually the door frame and window frame. They use it to make door frame and window frame, and it can also be used to laminate all together and become a big piece of table with the length that we have. Now, if we look in the past, say 100 years ago, most of the tables and chairs actually cut from a piece of tree, or you actually use the tree trunk to make into a chair. That means you cut to the height that you want and you can sit on it. Okay, that's how they make it. But what about the leftover? Whatever that you cut off, what can you do about it? In the past, they probably burn it and they cannot do anything about it. But then with the help of glue, we can actually glue them together and make it into something with commercial value. A lot of wood chips that they cut into small pieces, nowadays we can actually make into chipboard, MDF board. So this is actually using glue as well. This is chipboard. This is glued together as well. So even after you have this chipboard, what do you do with it? If you look at our kitchen cabinet, or you look at most of the cabinet that we buy from the market, it's actually with a layer of paper or the skin that we choose, different color. Those are actually glued on it as well. So this is when we can use the glue for woodworking industry. I lost the slide, Yap-Sing.
No, because it turned off the slide to show your.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that you can demo more. But now we will show back the slide.
Okay.
Any question from the floor so far regarding what kind of product does Techbond do? And maybe if you require more clarification, now is the time to ask.
Okay.
I think Mintek, let him present first, will be
Okay.
easier, otherwise it will take very long.
Okay.
Okay. So the next segment that Techbond sells to, we will go to paper and packaging. If we look at paper and packaging industry, where is it being used? If we can imagine most of our toilet tissue paper core, this is actually a piece of paper, very big piece of paper, where they put glue on the paper and then they roll it into this type of core. This is under the paper industry, paper core. Now, if we look at paper bags, most of the paper bags or shopping bags that you hold nowadays are actually glued together. It's not actually using tape, it's using glue. So that is one of the way where they can use the glue. And if we go to supermarket, most of the carton boxes that we buy, I mean the biscuit, or if you buy, for example, those milk powder, they are packed in a very nice printed packaging box. Those are actually using glue to seal the box as well. So that is one of the application. Now, if we buy the drinks, the soft drink or the can pack drinks, you will have 2 dots of glue holding the straw. The 2 dots of glue is actually what we call hot melt adhesive, that is using glue as well. Okay. Next, we will move to book binding. Now, if we look at book binding, in the past, most of the books or dictionaries, they will actually use stitching to stitch all the papers together to bind into a book. But nowadays, if you buy magazine or you buy a dictionary, most of them you will see glue on the left here. You will see the glue, not so much on the stitching anymore, because glue can perform and it can do it in a very fast way without stitching. Next, we will look at bottle labeling. That is another application that glue will be used. In bottle labeling industry, if we look at all the ketchup sauce, chili sauce, beverage, for example, just an example, the label, for example, Ribena label or the beer label, those kind of label are actually using glue to glue on top of the bottle. Irregardless of plastic bottle or glass bottle, it is using glue to stick on it. So that is one of the glue application as well. Next, we move into automotive. If we look at automotive, nowadays, in the automotive industry, everybody is talking about fuel saving. They want to make the car lighter and lighter, okay? So while they make the car lighter and lighter, that means they will actually reduce the weight of the metal. However, the bad side of that, by reducing the weight of the metal, is that you will have a lot of cabin noise. Okay, so when you have a lot of cabin noise, then how they can actually reduce the cabin noise? What they do is that they will stick a big piece of bitumen sheet or something velvet on the metal sheet, so that when you knock, it actually sounds very solid, and that is where the glue is being used as well in the automotive industry. Building and construction industry. If we look at the whole room, for example, carpet is using glue. If we look at those painting is using glue as well, because without glue component, the paint would not stick on the wall. Okay, and if we look at all the kitchen cabinet or those silicone sealant that we use to seal or stick the aquarium or to stick all the doors or the windows, those are under the building and construction sealant or the adhesive. Because even if you look at the whiteboard over here, the big piece of whiteboard over here is actually stick on it. We don't use any nail, we use glue to stick on it. That is under the building construction. I think the big part of building construction will be the flooring glue, the wood flooring. Okay, Next, we move into diapers. We move into sanitary napkin. In the diapers industry, sanitary napkin industry, it uses a lot of glue. Diapers, if we open up the whole diapers, the whole piece of diapers is actually using glue to stick. Without glue, the diapers cannot be constructed into one piece. Okay, the top part we call top sheet, because the top part you need water or you need the urine to flow in, and the bottom part we call it back sheet. That back sheet you need to prevent water from leaking out. Therefore, it's a two different layer system, and then you need glue to combine into one piece of diapers. The same to sanitary napkin. So it uses a lot of glue in these two type of application. Next. Next, we will talk about sealant. Yap Sing.
Just a slide. There's a slide hanging here.
Yeah.
You go ahead and with the story first.
Okay. So in the sealant industry, we divided our sealant into three categories. We have water-based sealant, we have solvent-based sealant, and we have modified hybrid sealant. The concept is very similar. Water-based sealant is whatever that with water. Solvent-based, we call the carrier, is actually solvent. And modified hybrid sealant is something more special. It uses water to cure the product. And I'll give you an example later. So if we look at water-based sealant and solvent-based sealant, what are the differences? The main difference is actually in the set mechanism. That means one uses water, another one uses solvent. Solvent in general will evaporate much faster compared to water. Okay, and therefore in certain applications like sticking this piece of glass onto the wall, we would need solvent-based sealant because it can evaporate much faster, and therefore you will have a better holding, or a much quicker holding power onto the wall. As compared to water-based sealant, we normally use water-based sealant to seal all the gaps that we have so that it looks clean and tidy, so that it has no dust within the gap. And that is where the water-based sealant being used. You can look at the photo down there, you will see one cartridge with the white line. Yeah, that is using water-based sealant. Now, modified hybrid sealant is something where we can use underwater. Just like Yap Sing mentioned just now, if you go to YouTube and you type Techbond, you'll see one of our modified hybrid sealant video where we can use this sealant underwater. That means if let's say in the event where there is a tiles dropping in the swimming pool, you can actually use it underwater to stick the tiles back. So that is modified hybrid sealant. It uses water as a curing agent to cure the sealant. So without water, it will not cure the type of sealant. Okay. Next, Yap Sing. Hang on. Maybe we can take some questions first, Ming Tek.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Actually, we got a few questions, and those are very interesting questions.
Okay.
So the first question came from Fariza. She asked, so many products involved in your manufacturing. So who are your top 3 clients or brands, if it's convenient for you to share?
Brands we cannot share, but I would say most of the, if we go into categories, okay, if we talk about woodworking segment, our top customer are also public listed company in Malaysia. Okay, if we go into paper and packaging industry, that means uses straw, uses label, for example, ketchup sauce, chili sauce, they are also listed company in Malaysia. So you can take a guess.
Okay, so does it include furniture? Because woodworking is mainly furniture, right?
Woodworking is furniture. Paper and packaging, that means under the packaging industry, you will have straw sticking on the so-called brick. We call that the packet drink. So that is under packaging. We will have, for example, ketchup sauce label, chili sauce label. We will have breweries. So you will know that there is not many brands in Malaysia doing brewery, right? Yeah. So and most of them are listed company in Malaysia. So most of them are our customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Ming, do you have the breakdown of your clients, like how many percent are from which sector? And
Yeah, we have actually in our prospectus, in our annual report, we have the proper breakdown.
okay, like currently, how many percent of them is, let's say, in the wood and furniture manufacturing sector? Like
In woodworking is 50%.
Okay.
50%.
Yeah, 50.
Woodworking contribute about our
50.
total revenue about 2/3, and the paper and packaging about 1/3.
Okay, thank you.
So that means most of your clients of the total revenue are either coming from woodworking or paper packaging, like the bottle label. You also have some, but very small segment in sealant, as well as the diapers that you show automotive, but majority of it will be from the labeling, bottling and labeling, as well as woodworking. Am I correct from what you said just now?
Correct, because those two are the longest serving. We started with woodworking. I mean, Techbond business started with woodworking. So we have been in the woodworking business for 20 over years. Then we went into paper and packaging, I think about 12, 13 years ago. And all the way until recently, then we start the other.
So all the
ratio builds up.
All the new, because there are so many products, but most of it is new, maybe a few years, is it?
Some of them less than 2 years. Some of them more than 2 years. But the longest serving is actually paper and packaging and woodworking.
I see. Interesting. So there are still many, many very good questions. But do you want to continue your presentation?
Yeah, I think we'll continue first since Yateng is back.
Okay. Okay.
Give me a minute.
We move to next.
You want to move to the next slide?
Yeah, thank you.
You want to talk about supporting equipment to integrate it into production line?
Okay. Now, so if we look at supporting products and services, most of the time people will think, oh, we just supply glue and it can be easily taken over by other people. So what do we do to actually tie our customer up, or in the supporting products and services? How do we give a complete solution to our customer? Now, if we look in the past, long time ago, when we apply something, we either use roller or we use brush to brush the glue. That is a very conventional way. Okay, but when our customer buy glue from us, what we do is that we actually provide them an equipment where they can run the wood through so that the glue can be applied automatically onto the wood surface. So that will actually help them improve their efficiency by many times, and it will also help them to achieve consistency on the glue application. Because by using hand application, you will not know how much glue they apply specifically on each meter square of the wood. How much is too less, how much is too much. So you will not know. But by using machine application, you will have exact amount of glue being applied onto the wood. And therefore, they can control the quality. At the same time, they can minimize waste so that there is not too much glue applied onto the wood itself. So this is one of the good example how we actually integrate ourselves into our customers' production. Okay. Next. Now we will talk about a bit about our R&D. In R&D, we have close to 400 different formulations, and this is actually our in-house R&D product. So I mentioned just now, I will actually give you an example why we need so many different formulations. Now, if we look at woodworking, for example, in the woodworking example just now that I show, how is it so different from the cigarette glue or the automotive glue? Automotive glue is also using water-based. Cigarette glue is also using water-based. And our woodworking example is also using water-based. So let me go in detail into the wood application, and I'll explain to you, for example, the cigarette application. Okay, if we look at the wood application, After sticking all the pieces of wood together, what we need to do is that we need to actually go for boiling test. The reason we go for boiling test is that it is actually so that we can expand the wood to a maximum range. And then once the wood is fully expanded by absorbing the moisture in the hot water, we will then put into oven so that we can contract the wood to the slimmest size. That will actually help to see whether the glue can actually move elastically together with the wood. If the glue cannot move together with the wood in the same expansion rate and contraction rate, what will happen is that the glue will break at the joint. Okay, and therefore we will fail. So why is R&D so important in Techbond? One of the reasons is because we have a lot of different international standards to comply in this woodworking industry. So one example that we need to pass, or one of the standards that we need to pass, are actually Japanese standard. We also have Como standard from Netherlands. We have different standards from Germany. We have from Japan. We have from Netherlands. We have from different countries. So all these different standards, we will need a lab to help us achieve those kind of standards so that we can sell our glue in a very, very technical way. Because this is not normal glue or a glue that you can buy in, for example, in the common DIY shop. This is industrial glue, where we need to pass a lot of different certificates. Now, this is one of the test methods. But if we compare to the cigarette industry, the requirement is totally different. They don't require your glue to expand and contract together with the cigarette. What the cigarette industry needs is actually speed. Now, if we look at each stick of the cigarette, if we open up the cigarette, what you will see is actually a piece of paper with the tobacco leaf in it. That piece of paper is actually fully glued. That means they apply glue onto the whole piece of paper, then they put the tobacco leaf and they wrap into a stick of cigarette. Now, in this kind of application, what they need is actually speed. Because in the cigarette industry, 1 minute, they are running at about 10,000 sticks per minute. So if I divide that into per second, 1 second, they are running 166 sticks of cigarette. So it's actually not millisecond. They require microsecond of drying time. That means once you apply the glue, basically it's immediately dry. Whereas compared to the wood industry, they can accept to take 1 hour for drying. So they will press the wood for 1 hour until the glue is fully penetrated into the wood and bite into the wood. Then after that, they will take for the boiling test and drying test. Okay. Next.
Wait for a while. There's people raise the hand already. Ming-Tek, you may want to coordinate.
Sure.
Raise hand for Chris. Why are you raising the hand for? You have a question to ask? Yeah, I think it's not an issue. It's okay. But do you want to take a question?
I'm okay.
Okay.
He was cleaning his laptop.
Yeah, no worries, man. So actually, if we won't stop even if you press the raise hand button or what, but later we'll open up for Q&A. I see there's a lot of very quality questions, including from me and Rondi as well. Or actually a different Rondi. There's 2 Rondi here. Okay, so but later we'll go through all the questions one by one, which will help us to further understand how does your business work. But so far, what I've been hearing is very interesting. Okay. On different kind of requirements for customers. So maybe since we are on this topic, maybe I can ask one question.
Sure.
So based on what I understand, Techbond do not actually manufacture the whole thing. You are like designing and then you ask somebody else to manufacture. Is that true?
We are the manufacturer of the glue. Then we sell the glue to our customer and they will apply it, because this glue application is part of their process to make into their end product. So to make into all these door frame, window frame, make into door, make into furnitures, is all part of their process. My glue is actually one of the raw material for my customer to make into their end product. So
for your glue,
chemical company, chemical company or the glue company that focuses in R&D to make sure we achieve what the customer want in terms of the technical standard.
But do you produce the glue? I mean, like you design, but the mixing and sourcing the material and add together, is it done by you, or you are the one that is doing the design based on what is the need of your client, and then you produce something from it?
We are not OEM. We are the so-called R&D and the mind of the R&D to develop the glue out.
Okay. So this is actually better.
Because customer would not know how to develop the formulation. We are the formulator.
Okay. Yeah, actually the strength is in the expertise and the skill. So maybe this will come to the further question later that they're asking. But for now, maybe I don't interrupt anymore. You can continue sharing first, and at the end only we ask more questions.
Sure. Okay, so in this slide, you will see two factories. On the left side is actually our Malaysia factory. On the right side is our current Vietnam factory. So with the IPO fund that we went into IPO in 2018, we actually built our third factory in Vietnam, and I'll show you some of the photos later. At this very current moment, or if we take an average of the past 4 years result, we are doing about 80% export market. Okay. Recent corporate development, I think we can skip some of the. I think we can skip some of the part. Perhaps they can ask if they have any question later. So this is our third Vietnam plant. It's already done. So we go to next. Yeah, this is the real photo of the plant. Okay, next. Okay, next I think we'll talk about collaboration agreement. This is one of the new projects that we recently came into collaboration with MPOB, Malaysia Palm Oil Board. Now, what is so special about this MPOB project? In the past, if we talk about oil, whenever we think about oil is actually something we call it repellent. If we cook something in at our home, we put oil as a repellent so that it doesn't stick to the wok, right? But then we are actually using a repellent to make into a glue. So when 2 years ago, when we went to MPOB to discuss about this project, it was a bit funny because everybody thought oil is a layer of repellent, not so much of turning into glue. Because glue and repellent is always the opposite. Okay, if you glue something and you don't want it to stick, then you apply repellent. So it's actually always on the opposite. But this time round, after 2 years of R&D, we tested. So we find that this can actually be a big opportunity, and there is a very big possibility that we can convert oil into glue. So we spoke to MPOB, and after MCO, we actually got into a collaboration agreement with MPOB to convert palm oil into glue. Now, this is still in a very early stage, but we have come up with formulation, and we have actually made into some of the end product. This is the chair that I'm sitting now. This is actually using our palm oil glue to glue together. I'll show you the chair. So this piece of chair, this is actually 9 layers of veneer or the wood skin. Okay, we put it together using our palm oil glue into a piece of chair.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this is one of the example. And why do we actually come to this kind of thought that hey, I can actually use palm oil to convert? Because we see one very big trend that we can help I can say the economy, we can help the country, we can also help to convert humans' life quality, how we live. Because in the past, a lot of all this furniture, when they make into this furniture, or even chipboard or even MDF board, normally what they use is urea formaldehyde glue. It contains formaldehyde. So we were thinking, if we look at China today, or if we look at Ikea actually came out with an official statement stating that they want to go green, stating that their Ikea furniture wants to head towards zero formaldehyde. or they call it formaldehyde-free furniture. That is their aim. Okay, but there is no real replacement to that. There are some of the chemical where they can achieve, but it's very, very expensive. Okay, and most of them, most of the furniture that we see outside now is actually using urea formaldehyde glue. Now, if we can make this successful, what it will help the world is that it will actually convert all these applications into zero formaldehyde. That is our target. And we have already made into this piece of furniture. We have already made into chipboard. This piece of chipboard is actually made by our palm oil glue as well. This piece of chipboard. Okay. So we are now sending it to Frame for application testing. That means our customer will have their own international standard to test, and we will actually test according to the international standard. It's now testing at Frame. We are waiting for the final report to come out. Okay, so this is the update, and the whole idea is actually going towards zero formaldehyde.
Seming, sorry, can I just stop you there for a while? Yeah.
Sure.
You know, with regards to this palm oil into glue, right? Which you convert palm oil into glue. So you're saying that this palm oil is going to be one of the active ingredient or the key ingredient for you to formulate something that is going to be that contains zero formaldehyde, right? And this is going to be kind of like a breakthrough lah, because it's just like as if I may give an example, it is probably like if let's say you're a pharmaceutical company and you come up with like a really good medicine to cure something that has no medicine created like that before, something like that.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will use this palm oil. That means we will go through a certain process to convert this palm oil into certain chemical that is a bit reactive. Then we will react with another chemical to make it into glue.
And there has been no other, there hasn't been anyone else like your competitor or anyone that uses palm oil as an ingredient for this?
No, nobody uses palm oil. Most of them, they are using those PU type, which is very, very, very high, and in the market, very seldom people will use.
Okay.
Yeah. So most of, a very common glue that people will use is urea formaldehyde glue.
I see, which still contains formaldehyde lah.
Yeah, because by the name itself, it is called urea formaldehyde. It contains formaldehyde.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess for those people that's listening, right? Maybe you can just explain to them what is formaldehyde, because I think a lot of people might not understand what formaldehyde is.
Well, in a very general term, formaldehyde is something that is toxic. So if normally at our home, those kitchen cabinet or whatnot, if you open your cupboard, you will have a very heavy smell, a very strong smell in the cupboard. Those are the formaldehyde smell. And those smell or those formaldehyde content can actually cause cancer. Yeah. If you go and type formaldehyde in China, I think there were a few cases in the past 5 years where people die from over formaldehyde content in the house.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so there are news on that lah.
So currently, most of the raw material being used in adhesive for a lot of furniture, formaldehyde is a very common ingredient.
It's a very common ingredient because formaldehyde can help to achieve the strength or the hardness that they want. Because you can imagine if there is no hardness, how can you make the skin of the wood into the shape that they want? So you need to achieve certain hardness so that it can form into the shape that they mold out. And if there is no hardness, what will happen? The whole veneer or the whole wood skin will actually collapse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if this partnership with the producing adhesive from palm is successful, it will be a very rare case where you can make a good adhesive without the formaldehyde, or is there already other alternative like that?
Like I mentioned again, there are other chemical who claims to be zero formaldehyde is selling a very, very expensive price and it's not using any oil. It's actually using chemical. We call it the PU chemical, PMDI and all that in the chemical name. Yeah.
But
So,
that is also not so good, is it?
no, we are making it practical because it's not practical.
It's chemical based. So what Techbond is trying to use, palm oil is green. You know, it's non-toxic.
Okay.
So the name of our glue will be called Green Tech.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So how far in are you with this R&D with palm oil to convert it into glue which has zero formaldehyde?
Then this is the product already. Now it's pending the testing of application testing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, understand.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Okay. So next I'll talk about Calvatis. Calvatis is actually a product where we call this a product plant disinfection. So this is actually not the normal hand sanitizer or the alcohol-based sanitizer. We work with Calvatis because they are doing plant disinfection. We are actually serving B2B customer, business to business, and most of our customers are industrial, where they make sauces, they make noodles, they make drinks or beverage, or even breweries. They will need to clean their tank, clean their floor, clean their conveyor belt very often. I think almost every day they will need to do the cleaning. Calvatis is actually a supplier of that chemical, a manufacturer of that chemical to do plant disinfection. Now, why did we come to this collaboration with Calvatis? The reason is Calvatis, they have no presence in Malaysia. And when they look for us, the reason is because we have all the distribution network that they want. And at the same time for us, it's basically just adding another product into the basket size and we sell to the same customer. So this is how we come to leverage each other's capability to move the product into the market. Okay, so this is the whole idea of this collaboration. Next. Okay, dividend policy. I think you guys can roughly read through. Basically, last year we actually declared 2 cents per share. If we compare to our profit, it's about 40% out of our profit lah. But then based on our dividend policy, we are paying up to 30% of our consolidated PAT. Next. Free warrant. Yeah, we declare a free warrant in that date. Next. Okay, now I will hand to Kun to explain to you about our financial performance.
Kun, go ahead.
Yeah.
You just let me know when you want to move the slide. Okay.
Okay. For information, our financial year end is 30th June. So we just closed our 30th June account for financial year 2020. So for this financial year 2020, we recorded a revenue of 71.3 million. So let's focus on the GP margin. Our GP margin increased from 25.9% last year to 30.6% this year. The reason of increase of this GP margin is mainly due to the hard work from our R&D department to come out a new formulation which let us have a better GP margin for our products. So if we look at the other expenses, we notice that the other expenses has been increased from 1.3 to 2.5 million. The main reason for this increase is actually during the financial year, we have made an in payment 700,000 to a customer in Vietnam. However, this customer is still continue paying us. But why we still make the in payment is because they did not pay us on time. However, they continue to pay us, so we will foresee for the next financial year, this amount will turn into the other income. And our profit after tax margin is also increased from last year 8.7% to 15% this year. Yep, saying next slide, please.
This
Okay.
one don't need.
Uh,
Don't need, I will skip. You let me know.
this one, okay. Okay, some of you may argue that because last year we have the listing expenses of 2.6 million. So we do a normalized profit and loss account income statement. So after we normalize the income statement, the account will still show a better result for this year compared to last year. So this year our profit after tax is 10.7 million compared to 9.6 million last year. And the normalized profit after tax margin also increased from 11.9% to 15%. Next slide. Okay. Previous slide.
Yeah.
The quarterly result. Okay.
You want to talk about quarterly result? Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Let's compare the result quarter by quarter. So for this quarter, we close our account at approximately 14 million revenue. So this is actually the lower is due to the MCO implementation in both Malaysia and Vietnam. And now let us focus on the GP margin. Our GP margin for this quarter is 33%. Compared to the same period last year is only 25.7%. Then the profit after tax margin, we also improved from 10.4% to 17.7%. Okay, next slide. Next one. Okay, so during this financial year, our company will pay a 4.6 million dividend during the financial year. Okay, next slide. Okay, in Techbond, basically we have three market segments. The main market segment will be adhesive, which contribute more than 93% of our total revenue. In this industry adhesive, we have two segments. One is the woodworking, which contribute 2/3 of our total revenue. The other one will be paper and packaging, which contribute 1/3 of our total adhesive revenue. Then followed by supporting products 6% and sealant 0.6%. Next slide. Okay, so this is the revenue segmented by geographical market. So basically, the Vietnam is our biggest market. Vietnam contribute more than 50% of our total revenue. So followed by Malaysia, 22%. Then the next one will be Indonesia, 13.4%. Then China is 3.1%. And we have other country is approximately 8%. Next slide, please. Okay, now let us look at analysis of GP margin by business segment. So during this financial year 2020, we recorded improvement in GP margin in all of our product segment. So the highest GP margin contributor will come from industry adhesive, which contribute approximately 31% of the GP margin. Next slide, please. Okay, financial position. For your information, none of our Techbond property is actually charged to the bank. So we have 0 gearing ratio. So our current ratio in financial year 2018 is approximately 7 times. And for this closing 30th June 2020, our current ratio improved to 13 times. What is this 13 times current ratio means to us? This is actually means our cash flow is very strong. So when there is any business opportunity that like M&A opportunity, so we can easily gear up our property and use our existing cash in hand to invest in that property and that property or the business opportunity. As at 30th June 2020, we have cash in hand of approximately 57 million. Okay, this is the financial liquidity. This is actually the cash flow of our company. For the 30th June 2020, we have net cash from operating activity amounting to approximately 18 million. the improvement in the net cash from our operating activity is actually we very emphasize in the collection, and we also keep our inventory at optimal level. And during the financial year, we have incurred 23 million for the investment of our VSIP2 project. And during the financial year, we have paid 4.6 million for our dividend. Despite all these expenses, at end of the financial year, we still sit on cash of approximately 57 million. Next slide. Okay. During the financial year, we have incurred approximately 23 million for the purchase of property, plant and equipment. Out of this 23 million is mainly incurred for our Vietnam VSIP2 project. And the dividend paid is 4.6 million. Next slide. Okay, now we want to talk about the long-term business strategy. So Meng, he will take over this section.
Okay, so if we look at the whole idea of us going into IPO, it's actually going for expansion. And where did we actually invested our money in? Now for this IPO, we actually got about, I think total close to about 40 million ringgit, and we actually invested into our new Vietnam factory. So what did we do in our new Vietnam factory? We actually went vertically upstream. Okay, that means we are making our own raw material instead of glue. That is our biggest investment into the making of the own raw material. So why did we actually want to go into our own raw material making? And it's called polymer. The raw material is called polymer, PVAC polymer. The reason is a lot of times when we ask for a certain polymer to be made for us, the supplier do not have supply on those polymer because they will have to go for R&D and they will have to make a new type of raw material for us. So it's not available. And most of the time what they do is that, okay, this is the ABC product I have, you choose from ABC, one of them. So when we go vertically upstream, what we can do is that we can actually make our own raw material, for example, A+ or B+ or B-, so that we can achieve the performance that our customer require just nice and we do not overkill it. When we overkill our product, yes, you have a very, very good performance, but your customer is not able to sell and there's no point. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to achieve just right what the customer want or what the customer need. Okay, so that we can help them to make more business or to deal more business with that polymer. With this polymer, we can also make into a certain adhesive that in the past we cannot target those segments. Why? Because in the past, when we do not make the polymer, we were not able to compete with certain polymer supplier in those paper segment. So when we go into the making of our own polymer, there is a new segment that we can target, which can contribute to a new turnover or those virgin market that we can target. Okay, then with our capacity, I think the tool that I mentioned just now, it will take up about 70% of the capacity. Remaining 30%, we can actually sell it to our customer, where we sell polymer to them. Because a lot of industry, they will use polymer. One of the example will be paint industry. Paint industry uses a lot of polymer because polymer is the backbone of adhesive and backbone of the paint, so that it can stick on the wall, so that it can stick on the substrate. Okay, it's actually the backbone of glue. Now, apart from polymer, we also do expansion in Malaysia. We have expanded 2 lines of sealant line, and we have expanded 2 lines of hot melt line. Okay, so that is the sum up of Techbond. I think we can move into Q&A. Thank you, Yap Sing.
Thank you very much. Prior for the Q&A, may I allow to make a very simple conclusion here? The greatest value when you invest into the Techbond is not because they're building more and more manufacturing facility both in Malaysia and overseas. Because the greatest value they have is the formulation. If you are the chemist, if you learn about chemistry during your science lesson during a school day, whether it's a high school or whether it's a college, you'll know that the most difficult part to do is about the formulation. Once you master the formulation, as good as you are the master chef who master the recipe, with the formulation, they can customize, they can tailor-make, they can design. They manufacture the end product, whether it's a F&B, furniture shop, or anybody, they need the formulation and do it. To a certain extent, the product produced by them is a customized. So the intellectual property embedded in this company is the greatest value. Why you take a deeper look on this Techbond? It's not so much like what you learn in other manufacturing industry. Everybody competing, build more and more factory. Everybody competing to build more and more production line. Before the oversupply come in, you hope you can make the money for the first and the second year, and you don't lose money in the third year. But that's not the case in the chemistry world. If we learn from some of the very globalized chemical player in the world, listed in New York Stock Exchange, Switzerland Stock Exchange, Frankfurt Stock Exchange, like H.B. Fuller, Henkel, Sika AG, those people, they have been in the industry for more than 100 years old. What they have been developed, the formulation, is not only cover what you see on the ground, anything fly in the sky, spaceship, aerospace, anything below the sea, submarine, the warship, the missile. So the glue application is go beyond. Every day you wake up until the day you sleep, the glue application will be there. There's one video clip on the YouTube produced by the Techbond. It mentioned that what you see, what you get, is related to the daily life. Mintek, I hand over back to you as a host to do the Q&A.
Okay, so Rondi, if you have something, anytime you want to step in to say something, you're welcome as well. But
Sure.
let me pick some of the interesting questions from the audience, and then I'll ask.
A lot of questions, actually.
Yeah, and those questions are quality questions. So Victor has a question here. Victor is asking, Techbond is doing adhesive and mainly in the woodworking as well as the paper and packaging. So is there other big similar competitor like Techbond in the market? And if yes, roughly how much market share is Techbond having now in this in each of the respective market, if it's convenient for you to share?
Yeah, okay. So if we talk about woodworking, I think in terms of market share, we are more than 50%.
Wow.
Yeah.
For the countries that you're in Vietnam and Malaysia?
In Vietnam, I think we are more than 50%.
Wow.
In Vietnam, definitely more than 50% because we are one of the pioneers to start the factory in Vietnam. And when we started our plant in Vietnam, there were basically no competitor.
It was only 10 years ago, is it?
It was in 2002 that we started in Vietnam.
Wow, but in 8 years now, the revenue from Vietnam is actually more than Malaysia, right?
Yes, correct. I mean, 2002 to today, to 2020 is about 18 years. Yeah. 2004, we started our own factory. So 2002 was trading. 2004, we started our own factories. So how did we actually build our Vietnam market? Because if we go back, I mean, to the history, okay, about 20 years ago, most of the woodworking manufacturers were in Malaysia. So as they grow, what they did was they actually set up a plant in Vietnam, and that's how we tag along together with them, and we set up a plant in Vietnam to supply them. So we were one of the pioneers there, and today I think our market share definitely more than 50% in Vietnam.
Okay, got it.
I mean, in terms of water-based adhesive.
So the categorization of the market is more like it's not really because of the plant there, it's more like who you are selling to, and the customer is in Vietnam. I mean, as in the subsidiary, even though the HQ is in Malaysia, but you still categorize it as a Vietnam market because it's being sold to the Vietnam plant, is it?
Correct. We follow invoice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the main material for adhesive and sealant production? And are they imported or locally sourced? This is also a question from Victor. And on top of that, maybe I add on another question because somebody was asking, what's the advantage of using palm oil? Or is it you're using palm oil or the oil palm base as an ingredient for the glue? You said it's because of health reason and chemical, right? But is the cost higher or is it similar? Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe you can comment on both. Yeah.
Sure. I will separate into two questions.
Mm.
First of all, the palm oil glue, I mean, I put it in a very simple word, we call it the palm oil glue versus water-based glue. These two is actually to tackle different application. Okay. The palm oil-based one will be mostly for panel furniture. That means it's not solid wood. What I show you just now, this type of wood, the 4 pieces sticking together, for your door frame, for your window frame, these are all solid. It's very seldom you'll see people using chipboard and MDF board to make into door frame or window frame because it's too weak compared to solid wood. Okay, this is real piece of wood. Now, this type of wood, we will have to use water-based, and the raw material of this will be polymer. That is the biggest raw material, will be polymer. So apart from polymer, you will have, for example, tackifier, you will have additive, you will have different other wetting agent. It's actually different chemical, but the main part will be polymer. Okay. Now, if we go into
sorry, Seming, is there like a percentage breakdown for the polymer?
It depends on formula. So certain formula, if we need a very high strength, then we will need to use more of the polymer.
Okay.
Yeah. Because not every formula will require high strength. Some of the formula, it requires no strength. So if we look, I give you one example of no strength type of glue. If we look at tissue paper, the tissue that we use in our toilet, the two-ply tissue, 3-ply tissue, right? The 2-ply and 3-ply is actually stick together using glue. But you can separate the 2-ply and 3-ply quite easily. Okay, so those type of glue application requires no sticking, no strong bonding effect. It only requires holding power. As long as it holds together, it doesn't go into different direction, then it consider pass. So those are different requirements. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry because my chemistry is very bad. Polymer, is it made from oil?
No. Polymer is actually related, but it's actually not made from oil. It will start from what we call the monomer. Okay, something that is very reactive. So if we go back to a science class 10, 20 years ago, normally in the chemist class, you will see they put the chemical, then they will add a few drop of chemical, then it change into yellow color, blue color, green color, then change to white color. Yeah, polymer is made in this type of way. That means I will buy the raw material called monomer, then I will do reaction, okay, to react into something very stable called polymer. Yeah, it's not
so actually I'm asking this question just to know what would your raw material price fluctuate a lot?
Raw material price definitely will fluctuate. This one is no doubt one, but the fluctuation is not equals to 1 in terms of correlation with the oil. It's always it's always looking at demand and supply of the raw material. I gave one example the other day, I think in the last
Ming, you stop for a while. I think the way if Mintake go like this, it's going to be very, very long-winded. The polymer is one kind of the derivative product you derive from the downstream of the petrochemical industry. When you have a crude oil, and you go to the end of the downstream is petrochemical. Like you see in the Pongkarang, like you see in the Titan Chemical, they produce different kind of end product. One of the product is a polymer, but before the polymer, they need the monomer. You don't care, like you just treat everything like transformer would do, like the cartoon transformer. When you have this product, the common question people ask, when the crude oil price up and down, will the raw material polymer up and down or not? The answer is yes. The answer also no. Why? Then let me explain to you. The polymer manufacturer, they can dictate the price, not necessarily follow the market force. Therefore, the input raw material cost to the Techbond can be varied from time to time. So let me explain what is a correlation. Min, you go ahead.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, I think like what Yap Sing mentioned just now, even the plastic bottle that we're using is actually coming from oil derivative as well. So a lot of chemical thing is coming from oil. Now, whether or not the oil price fluctuation will affect our raw material price, like Yap Sing mentioned as well, yes and no. Because if you talk about the fluctuation of oil will have impact on the price, I think it's on everything. Even your food pricing, your petrol pricing, even on your drinks pricing, everything will increase. Most of the time, logistic will increase. Okay, on our raw material itself, is it a direct or indirect impact? This one, no straightforward answer. It's always depending on demand and supply. If we look at MCO period, the oil price actually went to negative, but I did not get my raw material for free. Okay, I still have to pay. In fact, when the time where the oil price was negative, our raw material price actually increased during that time. What is the reason? The reason is oil manufacturers or the oil rig, they cannot stop. They have to continue to produce because once they stop, to restart back, the cost is too high. But to my raw material supplier during MCO, they stop their plant. Nobody runs the plant. So what happens? Short of raw material. And the raw material price actually increased, but while the oil price actually decreased. So it's always depending on demand and supply, not so much on the oil. Yeah. So that is the, straight answer to that.
Understand. Thank you for giving us a very good picture. The next,
the good analogy for everyone to understand like this. Crude oil and the palm oil can produce the cooking oil. Cooking oil is general. You can depend on the CPO price. But there's somebody who purchased the cooking oil. They make a one kind of very special sesame oil. This sesame oil, this manufacturer can dictate how much supply he want to flow in the market. If you are the sushi master, you want to buy by sesame oil, I make it a scarcity, sorry, you pay high price. So that work. Crude oil, nobody can control. The whole world, OPEC and non-OPEC decide. But the polymer, I buy the oil and produce this thing, I control the supply. Therefore, this is the second part, of course, sub-component of the value chain. Okay, please continue.
Yep.
Can I just, just another question, right? Because what I understand is your factory in Vietnam, it's going to be producing polymer.
Yep,
so how much of this capacity of your Vietnam plant of polymer is going to be used for your own usage? And how much balance of the polymer how much extra of the polymer that you manufacture in the Vietnamese plant is going to be sold elsewhere?
60 to 70% of the polymer will be for our adhesive manufacturing use. Okay, based on the full capacity that we can make in terms of polymer, 30% will be to use to replace our current polymer that we buy from others. Okay, 40% will be to make new type of adhesive that I mentioned just now. It's a virgin market that we have never targeted before.
Okay.
And the reason that we didn't target is because we were not price competitive. Okay, they were basically buying at the price of my raw mat at a little bit more, and we were not competitive. So we focus our people. We put our focus somewhere else that can make money rather than in that segment. So now that we go into making our own polymer, we would have a bigger gap of margin already. Okay, in terms of a polymer side, then we can target this new segment, and it's going to eat up about 40% of the adhesive. Then we will have remaining 30% where we can sell the polymer direct out to those people who uses polymer.
Okay, understand.
That's the whole expectation and idea.
Okay.
Okay.
How much cost saving would you roughly can predict?
We expect 20 to 30%. Now it's still depending on formula, because like I mentioned again, last time a lot of things that we buy is actually overkilling. So if we do something that just nice, perhaps the gap is even bigger.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
I think the other point to add on here is like this is Conventionally, when you take a look of the presentation slide, Rondi and Mintic share with you, you can see that their after-tax margin is close to about 15%. Save for the year of 2019 June, because of the listing expenses, we had to add it back, a charge to the profit and loss account. That is if they concentrate only for the industrial group or industrial adhesive business. In the event the excess capacity for the Vietnam factory, they are going to sell the polymer as a raw material to the next buyer, let's say paint manufacturer. You would like to ask what will be the profit margin? We do not have a direct answer. Probably indirect answer, you look in the Bursa Malaysia, you look for this company called Polymer Link. Polymer Link is listed on the lead market, the third board. Average profit margin generated by them is about 10 to 11%. And that is will give you a guide that if a guy will sell polymer, how much will we make by this end product? But the polymer they are producing is not so much related to this industry, paint industry and other related industry. It's more related to plastic industry. We call plastic racing. That's where you do all this plastic container and so on. That will give you some good guide that a feel what kind of profit margin as a polymer manufacturer and distributor, polymer manufacturer, not distributor. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, just a relevant question also with regards to your costs, right? I mean, there's a question here which asks, you know, how reliant are you to manual labor against automation? And if there are any manual labor, are they foreign labor?
You mean in Malaysia or you mean Vietnam?
I guess group wide.
Group-wise, we have about 120 workers, okay? And our foreign worker in Malaysia, I think is less than 20. And Vietnam definitely is foreign. They are Vietnamese. Yeah, but in Vietnam, we have very few, I mean, comparatively, Malaysia and Vietnam, I think about 60 plus people each.
So would you consider your company more into like, it has gone into like the automation kind of like route instead of like manual labor?
We are not labor intensive.
Okay.
Yeah, we are not labor intensive. Even in our new polymer plant, we have a control room where they only need to press buttons and the raw mat will go into the tank automatically and it will mix automatically and then it will go into packing.
Okay.
So if there is any adjustment in minimum salary of the worker, either in Malaysia or in Vietnam, there won't be any big impact to our profit.
Okay.
Because mostly you are doing research, right? So it's using brain more than using labor. Is that true?
You can say so. And our process is actually quite, I would call semi-auto to auto already. Not really manual. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got a lot of really good questions from the attendee. I hope I can ask everything, but maybe just very quickly. I believe most of your revenue are recurring, right? Rather than one-off?
Yes, correct.
Okay. But what are the risks surrounding your revenue? Because as far as we know, based on the sharing, a lot of your, a major part of your business actually depends on woodworking, furniture, as well as paper and packaging, and 2/3 is from woodworking. So furniture industry can be quite cyclical. So will your business be following their cyclicality? And if you have a very big major customer, if you can share, how many percentage is that roughly?
I think for major customer, we can refer back to the prospectus. Top 10 customer we listed there. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean I wouldn't share apart from those ones.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's quite sensitive.
We'll have a look on that one. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So that is the first answer to your question. The second one is actually on the whether you were asking this recurring business, right?
No, whether there will be any cyclical phenomena to your revenue, because most of your revenue actually come from furniture industry, because furniture can be cyclical, right? The sales.
Not really actually, not really. If we look at the furniture industry, what happens is actually, you can say cyclical, but in our trend, you will also see a little bit, but not too much. What happens is that normally during the festive season, then you will see the sales go up more because people will tend to change furniture, people will tend to change, that means they will do more decorative work and all that. So you will see that. And our sales is actually following those kind of trend as well. From quarter to quarter, you will see a bit. But not so much because we are also selling to the paper and packaging industry, to the food industry. So food and beverage industry is quite stagnant, except during Chinese New Year, you will see a pump a little bit because people will start to keep stock for their beverage, for their breweries. Then the same to this other festive season where people will keep all this. So yeah, I mean, we will follow the trend of our customer. This is definitely.
Okay.
I think, Ming, why not you explain to them the recent case during the MCO? When people concerned about cyclical, how about you tell them total shutdown? Total shutdown during the MCO, all the furniture factory in Muar, all the furniture factory in the Batu Bahar, Johor, not allowed to operate at all. But yet, the company is still able to sell the product in Vietnam, sell the product into the Indonesia because of the flow of the order from one economy to the other economy. That will address a concern of cyclical quarter to quarter.
Yeah. So if we look at during MCO period, I think a lot of companies got closed down. And if we divide into essential or non-essential goods, most of our wood customer will classify under non-essential, but then only for a while. I think after that, the Timber Association, they go and talk to the government. Then subsequently, I think MITI phase 1, end of phase 1, or MITI phase 2, some of them already started working. But then for us, as a glue manufacturer, there were not much impact. If you look at our latest quarterly result, actually our profit is still there. And the reason is because we supply to the essential goods. And for non-essential, we supply to overseas market. Okay, if we look at the segregation, about 80% or 70 to 80% of our sales is actually coming from export market or the market outside Malaysia. So during MCO period, our order were actually quite full, okay, and we have backlog to chase. The reason, one of the reasons is because our productivity can only be kept at 50% because the government only allow 50% operation. So during that time, our order, we started working since the end of phase 1, end of MITI phase 1. We started working already, and we all the way until May when they reopened back, we were running full during the whole MCO period. Yeah. So I mean, this is the so-called diversification that we have.
Okay, very good. So I've got a question regarding IP, because based on the understanding, your company is producing a lot of R&D, and we understand that IP can be quite important to a company. So is that considered a competitive advantage to you? And if yes, is there any patent protection that you're doing or anything that you're doing to incentivize your talent to stay with your company so that they don't go to other competitor?
The answer is yes and no. Yes, one example would be the palm oil project. We are going to do patent on this, okay, because this is very, very, I mean, it's totally different composition, and we are the pioneer to turn palm oil into adhesive. So this is yes. No for the other water-based and hot melt adhesive that we have, because formulation is more of a blending process, okay? It's more of like a cook. So if we go to a 5-star restaurant chef compared to a normal cook, you give them the same material, they will not be able to copy exactly the same taste. Even though they have the same material, the same weight or whatnot, they will not be able to cook exactly the same. Okay, this is because it will require production know-how, and it will also require R&D know-how. It's two different things. In the production know-how, we are very clear that certain material below 40 degrees Celsius you cannot add in. Certain material above 60 degrees Celsius you cannot add in. certain product you cannot shear more than 100 RPM. So a lot of production know-how involved in this thing. And it's very hard for us to patent our water-based or hot melt adhesive because there is no point to it, because this can change very quickly. It's more of like you order Singapore Mihun. People can add something and also call Singapore Mihun. So right, this is very hard to patent, and therefore we don't put money into that. But if something that is very, very important, without that one you cannot work, then that one we can patent.
So the palm oil is one. So it seems like the palm oil turning into adhesive is a very, very important part of the business. Can you maybe share some light with us on roughly when will it start to be able to be a commercial product, and how big of a contribution do you think this will be to the company?
If we look at the market size itself, based on the consumption of glue, then I multiply by the assumption of the price and all that, this palm oil adhesive will probably be bigger than our total group turnover. Okay, so I mean, if let's say this is successful, we can anytime multiply the whole group's turnover.
Your customer, they are really, have you told them about this idea, and are they really receptive to this idea?
Yes,
is there a strong demand?
We actually signed NDA with a few customers, potential customers. We signed with them, and if let's say this is successful, those are the customers where we will start to work.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow, this sounds like a really solid thing. So and so far it has been already got product pun, so just a matter of time. But could you give us a time frame maybe?
Okay, now it's actually depending on few things. First is actually on our MPOB, because MPOB will help us to work on the process efficiency, because we are collaborating with them, right? So they will help us on that. We are yet to finalize certain things with them. And second, we are waiting for the this print side to work out some of the tests, and also waiting for the buyer side to work out the end application test. We have passed certain tests but not completed yet. So until it is fully completed, then we will make an announcement saying that how, yeah.
Okay, so you personally will see that this is a game changer for your company. It's like a very big project for you, like a new iPhone, something like that.
Yes, definitely.
It's like a new medicine.
Okay, so how much would the new factory in Vietnam? There's the factory in Vietnam, the new factory is already on and is already running now, right? And how much do you think?
Yes, not the new one yet.
Oh, the new one is still building.
It's already done building. Now we are waiting for the CF from the government.
Because
it's because of the MCO and because of COVID-19. Yeah.
Okay. How much revenue do you foresee this factory to bring in?
In terms of
when it's already, let's say in 1 or 2 years from now, when you ramp up the utilization rate, how much revenue and do you foresee this company to be break even in a in a short amount of time?
Okay, I think it's not so much break even. Of course, we expect it to break even, because when we make our own polymer and when we use our own polymer, there is a certain saving where we can save. We are the first customer.
Yep. Immediately take up some big.
Yeah. Okay. So we are the first customer. Then subsequently, we already have existing sales over there. So existing sales over there, at least we know that the market is already there. What we need to do now is actually to grow the remaining 40% that I mentioned just now into the new segment, the virgin market. Then on top of that, the polymer that we can sell to others. That is the 70% chunk that we have to grow. Yeah, but in terms of number, I cannot give you a definite number for now until I have the so-called M pricing for that material.
For the new polymer that you create and the new market that you're going to.
All right, and also I would not want to give at this moment, because they can do backward calculation on the price of that we're going to sell.
I see. Okay.
Okay, sorry, Ming, maybe just coming back to, to the palm oil glue, right?
Yeah.
Just when you mentioned that you have talked to some clients, are these clients existing clients, or are they like new clients as well? Those
Both.
that sign NDA.
Both.
Both are.
Because we don't do urea formaldehyde glue. So some of them, if we want to convert them from urea formaldehyde glue to palm oil, they will be the new customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if, let's say, this entire thing goes successfully, like, does your factory, I mean, this will be produced in your factory in Malaysia, right?
We will probably set up new tank for this application.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, there will be utilizing some floor space in your Malaysian factory, I suppose.
Either this way or we will buy a new piece of land.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the timing is right. Probably next month or next month, you will. I mean, we probably get a better deal in terms of land.
Okay.
So what sector is it that you are targeting to, maybe if it's not convenient to share, you let me know, to go in with the new polymer? Because now you're in the woodworking as well as paper and packaging. So with your own new polymer that you are doing, what sector are you targeting to?
It will be to the paper industry. So if we look at the whole trend of this furniture line, okay, a lot of them, they don't go for solid wood anymore. Solid wood is actually something very luxury nowadays. Most of our furniture at home, even office furniture, office chair, is actually using paper to laminate on top. Okay, and so this kind of application in the past is very, very competitive for us. Very hard to compete because we don't make our own polymer. And the reason why we go into this segment is because a lot of them are our existing customer, but only that we cannot compete in that application. So now that we go into our own polymer making, then we can actually sell to those customers.
Wow, and it's a very big market, right?
It's a very, very big market because if we look at the whole surface, that is the whole size where they use glue.
And you already have relationship with the client as well.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question here. It's by my name, but it's definitely not me who asked the question. But yeah, this question is it's asking, with regards to the shareholding analysis, the founding family owns 73% of the shareholding, right? Is there any plan to increase the public float?
This one, I think, yes, if let's say the price is right, that is on the mother share. But if we look at the warrant conversion, we have seen warrant conversion in the past few weeks. So I think this is actually increasing already.
Right.
Yeah.
Pertaining the question of the free float, from the day one, the company have complied with the free float about 25%. The free float were always not enough whenever the share price go higher and higher. All the investors wish that there's a lot of share in the market, the price don't go up so fast. Therefore, free float help to stop the price went down so fast, then they can buy cheaper. The free float will become too much and too much as a lot until you don't want it when the share price tank and go lower and lower. Especially during the MCO, you can see the price of the Techbond drop as low as 50 cents and yet nobody want to buy. And when the share price move back to $1, I think not too bad, this company. When the share price went down to 139, even better. What we are trying to do here is like, the free float just nice to meet the requirement until and unless the number of the shareholder have been reducing to less than 1,000. If less than 1,000, being a main market listed company, the company were not able to fulfill the public free float requirements set for main market, then we really need to address the issue accordingly. At this moment, according to annual report, easily the company have a few thousand shareholders and it's keep on changing every day. I hope that will answer the question directly. And the other way is, in the event, if the 142 warrant issue, working on the assumption that if all the warrant have been converted, 230 million share, you need to add in another 115 million. So the total number of the share in the market will going to increase to about 400 over million. Therefore, the free float is not really the issue. The issue is, are you willing to pay for the price for it or not? Hand over back to you, Mintek.
Yep. So final two questions from me. Would there be major capex for the R&D for the palm oil glue as well as the new polymer, or the investment and the cost has already been done? Because as far as I know, most of the research is already been done. Now it's just waiting to commercialize only, right?
R&D actually not so much, because most of the material that we get, we don't have to buy. We can get it at a very low cost or even no cost. Okay, because we are supported by MPOB side. Okay, so that one no issue for R&D. The main capex that we will be looking into will be the purchase of equipments if needed, and the land. That is the main only. But those are assets, so yeah.
For the production of the palm oil, palm oil adhesive.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So at this moment, we have our own internal fund. We have close to 60 million fund, so it's definitely sufficient for those users.
Okay.
Maybe Kun, I get you to explain a bit the utilization of IPO process. After that, after you minus the money you need to spend from IPO, what is the excess cash available?
At this moment, we have almost for the Vietnam side, the VSIP2. So for the construction has been fully completed. So as at today, actually we have made most of the payment to the contractor. So unutilized working capital is about 6 million. So once we get the CF from the government of Vietnam, so we will start to utilize the working capital. So we are expecting, so we have made application to, not application, we make an announcement. So the utilization proceed for this Vietnam project will be extend another additional 12 months, which by end of next year, due to the delay due to this COVID-19 of our VSIP2 project.
So what the Kun tried to share with everyone, based on the latest bank account, the company had 57 million cash. Out of 57 million, you minus 6 million, that is the IPO money. You must use it for the Vietnam, Singapore Industrial Park Factory number 2. You cannot touch. 57 minus 6, there's additional 51 million at the disposal of the company, what they plan to do and what they want to do. I hope they explain well that the CapEx is not a major issue because the company itself is a mini public bank. Sorry, joke only.
Okay, just a final question from me. Rondi, if you have any, you can follow up after this. If not, then we can conclude the meeting by a summary, maybe from Segment or Yap Singh. So the last question is, what will be the potential risks that may be hindering the company's future growth or affecting the revenue and profit in a significant way? Can you think of any potential risks or something that you're worried about that may affect the company that shareholders should pay attention on as well?
I think it's all stated in prospectus based on those research. But then in my personal view, the biggest risk is actually when the company cannot continue to innovate. Okay, because we are R&D company, we are in the chemical line, and all our profit or our even margin will all depend on our so-called innovation. How we can help customers solve their problem in a very practical way. How we can help customers improve their efficiency in a very practical way. I think those are the innovation thingy that we have to take care to make sure our customer can get the solution at a very practical way. So this is always what we focus on. Yeah, if we lose this, then I think that is a very big risk.
Okay, then we will hope that you will stay healthy and always be on alert and stay innovative and creative.
There's another 4 more questions under here. I can see from open 4. There's 4 more questions here. No?
Maybe I'll just pick up a few questions from the Facebook. Okay, so this question is pretty interesting. Maybe I'll just merge a few of them. So how much market share are you compared to your competitor, right? And because I think there is also in your prospectus, we understand that it is mentioned that you have 8% of the market share of the export of adhesive, exporting about 3.7 thousand tons in 2017. So is that market share had increased so far? And basically, what makes you better than your competitor? I think that's already answered.
Okay.
So maybe just answer on the market share.
Sure. If we talk about market share, I think first of all, I answer your second part of it first. You mentioned about 8%. Actually, the number that you see there is not a true reflection, okay? Because during that point of time, they compare against total. Like I mentioned to you just now, in the glue industry, it's too broad already. In the glue family itself, we have 100 to 1,000 families, okay? That means what we do now is water-based adhesive, we do hot melt adhesive, and we do sealant products, okay? But in the adhesive, we have solvent-based contact adhesive, we have this isocyanide, we have PU adhesive, we have this cyanoalkalic adhesive, so many types, okay? So when they compare us against 3M, against different for example, Henkel in the airspace industry, the train, the glue being used in train, those type of glue we don't have. Then you will see the percentage become very small. So whenever we answer what is our market share in a certain industry, we will always answer according to the industry or application. For example, the woodworking industry, because in different industry we have different competitor.
Understand.
Yeah. So in woodworking industry, like I mentioned, about 50% or more. Then in paper and packaging industry, then we have certain percentage. In cigarette, then we are fairly small comparatively. Yeah. In automotive, then it's another, because automotive also a lot of different kind of glue, and we only supply the water-based adhesive. We don't supply the PU adhesive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is this one very funny question, right? So this person said that, you know, the Malaysian furniture stocks have been going up like crazy. So even like today, Pohwat also went up like crazy, right? So, and there are a lot of news saying that the furniture stocks are on the way up because of the demand and US-China trade war. So would you agree to the statement when one is to say that you are a beneficiary of you know, US-China trade war, and you're a beneficiary of strong furniture demand?
Yes, I will. Because
so you're actually seeing
when they have a stronger demand, then definitely their so-called request for glue will be more as well.
Okay. And just one last. Sorry, go ahead.
Would a stronger demand affect your average selling price?
Not really. Okay. Not really, because our product is a technical product. Our product is not something where you can buy off shelf somewhere else. Yeah, you need to go through a lot of testing. You need to get your buyer either in Japan, in Netherlands, or somewhere else to approve. Not only the wood itself, they have to test on the glue as well to come out with a certificate saying that, okay, this glue you can use, then only you can run the product. Yeah. So sometimes the penetration process will also take very long. But for you to come out from that customer normally take very long also. Yeah. And the good part is the glue cost in the total cost of the furniture is less than 1% most of the time. So it's not about the price, it's more of the quality. Because if my glue fail, they will feel the whole 100% of the cost. But if my glue pass, even though there is a marginal increase in price, they will still continue to run because it's a very small impact to their end product.
I see. Okay. So do you increase your price from time to time or don't? It's a fixed price.
Normally we don't really increase the price if there's no market fluctuation, because in business certain principle we still have to follow. Yeah, okay. Not only profit, but we need to take care of customer.
Sounds good.
Ming Tek, I think there's one question from the open here. It's quite intelligent. He mentioned that the intellectual property are an integral part of Techbond, what are the chances of your competitor reverse engineering your formulation and perhaps improving on your formulation? And also, what is your current and projected expenditure in terms of expenses for IP and legal enforcement of IP? Basically, he's asking people buy your glue, they go to dissect it and they reverse engineering, they copy you, produce your same product, and they make better sesame oil than you. Or you also can buy their sesame oil, you dissect the product and you copy them also. So this is the very technical question relating to the lab of Techbond. Ming, you share with that.
Okay, actually, when we talk about reverse engineering, it's actually doable. I think similar to even financial service, right? You can have different people doing this. I mean, supplying the same service, but it will be it will always be different one. It will always not be the same one. So even people buy my glue and they do reverse engineering, they probably can copy up to 80%. But there are a lot of production know-how and technical know-how where they cannot copy on, okay? Because it's a water-based glue. They will not know 100% what is the material inside. And the same, when we do reverse engineering on other product, we probably only get to guess the 80%, 90% of it. But the production know-how, we will not be able to know, okay? I think a very simple example that I can give you, in the glove industry, you will see one glove industry making very good profit margin, another glove company not making so good profit margin. But why can't they reverse engineer and copy each other to make it very high profit margin? Because there are always a lot of technical involved. How to reduce your rejection rate, how to make sure your quality is consistent, how to make sure your QA QC team or your engineering team can make your line run at the fastest and with the most or with the lowest rejection rate. Those are all the technical aspects that involved in the manufacturing industry, and of course R&D as well. Yeah. So I mean, this is the answer that I can give you.
Okay. Are the orders for Techbond from the clients long-term contracts based? You have signed a few years contract with them, or is it on a order basis but it's consistent?
It will be spot. We don't do any contract. Yeah. Most of the time will be spot. What they can do sometimes is actually to give us a blanket PO and that's it. Not so much of long-term contract. Yeah. And I don't see this as a risk or advantage for customer to do it as well, because most of the time our price to our customer is fairly stable as well. We will manage from our supply side.
Ming, probably you explain to them the glue tailor-made and produced by you already integrated into the whole production process or even automation process of your end client. Therefore, for them to change the glue, it will affect the ultimate quality of the product, totally rejected by the end customer, don't want to buy anything from them.
Okay. Yeah, like what Yap Seng mentioned just now, also part of my explanation prior, I think few questions back, our glue cost in the end product of our customer is very, very little in terms of percentage. So most of the time, our customer will not take the risk to change the glue, okay? Because when they change the glue, they probably have, let's say it's only 1% of their total cost. So even they save the whole 1%, but when it happens quality rejection, that time they will probably burn a few 100,000 to a few million of those container rejection. But what they save is only few thousand, few tens of thousands or 100,000, but they will have to waste a lot of money in terms of the saving that they get. Yeah, so that is a long short answer.
There's one question regarding the questioning the palm oil have very negative image in the Western world. When you want to promote your palm oil based glue to those people, especially from the Europe, US, they say your palm oil is no good. Palm oil has a lot of toxic because produced by Asian, not good. You are affected when you want to sell your glue also not good, no, because all of you come from same kampong. Then how?
Okay.
Formaldehyde.
Huh?
Better than formaldehyde.
Yeah, okay. I think we put this into two different questions. I think first thing to focus is always on the user. Where the user are in the whole world. The user of furniture, most of them are in China, if we talk about the real user. Okay. Why US market is so strong? Because their sales network is strong. They have presence everywhere to sell the product. But the user is still back in Southeast Asia. And that is where they will use our glue. Okay. Where the user are, that's where the market is. Now, we look at China. China is going towards this direction of going green already. Today, when we talk about glue, you will see China, they request for formaldehyde-free glue. So you will see China, even China company, they are working very hard to develop something like this. Okay, and this is going to be the direction, no matter how people object it. At the end of the day, the product will be sold to China. That's where the major market is. Okay. Now, second to that, we talk about the European market where they reject palm oil and all that. Now, we will not, because in the end product of this, okay, most of the time your table and chair, they will not tell you what glue you use. Actually, you will not see and you will not know also. What they do in marketing is that this is a formaldehyde-free table. This is a formaldehyde-free cabinet. This is a formaldehyde-free, and they probably put a brand to it to make it marketing. But then most of the time, the user will not know that this product is actually coming from palm oil or whatnot. They will only know it's formaldehyde-free. Yeah, so that's the simple answer to that.
I think this question is very interesting. If we sell the palm oil and produce a cooking oil for people to consume, I think we need to debate not only with the medical doctor, and the company need to debate with all the professor, with all the medical faculty in the whole world, whether the palm oil will kill people or kill animal. The problem here, or the tracking point here, is the companies produce the glue in order for you to manufacture, whether it's the furniture or whether it's some of the end product, to ensure that the end product first is biodegradable, second, there's no poison. All this poison came out or come out from your furniture when you put in your house. Actually, every day you're smelling the poison. You just wish day you got cancer and die faster. And the marketing guy will say, hey, you want to live longer, buy this green glue, green furniture, live longer. What's the point? You make so much money. You smell the glue until you shorten your life. I think quite a number of you, when you buy a new furniture, the first thing you put in your house, what you do? You on the aircon? No, you will not on the aircon. You will open the window and blow the air and make sure all this sticking smell will go away for the next few days before you close the window. That is because of formaldehyde, radiation of the poison who affected the health. Does the furniture seller or the marketer will tell you this problem? Never and ever. Because in order to do a green glue, it's too expensive at this moment. If Techbond able to break through, probably is one and the only one. They capitalize of the abundance of the palm oil in Malaysia with the low price and the supply. Therefore, sometimes business is not only how smart you are, at the right time, at the right place, in the right country, you make the right money. So probably that's the answer for your question.
Ming, do you think you can share for your palm oil based glue, right? How much cheaper that this can be to whatever is available in the market right now?
It's not going to be cheaper compared to urea formaldehyde. Okay, it's probably going to be more expensive than urea formaldehyde. And compared to the glue that is so-called formaldehyde-free, I mentioned here, is going to be way lot cheaper.
Okay.
But in terms of price,
more than 50% cheaper.
More than I think more than, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So at the end, I think at the end of the day, the price of the glue shall not be the focus. At the end of the day, the focus shall be on the value that we can bring to the consumer. Because, like I mentioned to you, the whole piece of furniture is going to take only 1% of the cost. Assuming the piece of furniture that you buy is 100 ringgit, 1% is only 1 ringgit. So even my cost of glue increased by 100%, is going to cost you 101 ringgit. It's only 1 ringgit additional. And if you tell consumer that I'm giving you this product that is formaldehyde free, I think you sell 120 ringgit, 19 ringgit more, I think they will also buy, because it's going to last them for the next 20 years. Not so much of the cost increase. It's more of the value that we bring to the society.
Do you think Ikea might be interested? I don't know whether that's a stupid question or not.
Yes, because it's official in their statement, stating that they want to go towards this direction. In fact, some of our customers, they are also supplying to Ikea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like formaldehyde free.
Not now, because now what we supply to, I mean, from our customer, when they supply to Ikea, is actually using our water-based adhesive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So water-based adhesive itself is actually formaldehyde free. Okay. Yeah, but that is more on the solid wood side.
Understand.
Yeah.
Ming has one question on the chat board here. He mentioned that the company growth is very much depend on the R&D progress. Probably only half of the equation. You want to explain about the other part, which about from your marketing effort and to cover the Asian region market?
Yeah, sure. It always, whether or not the company grow, I mean, if you can do something that you have no commercial value or you cannot sell, then it's no meaning basically. Okay. It's like banking sector come up with a financial product but cannot sell. No consumer buys it, then no meaning as well. So it's the same in our company or across every company. Once you have the product, and if that is a champion product, what we need to think is actually how we can sell it across the world, not only Southeast Asia, the current market that we have. So right now, what we are doing, we're actually opening up our market. Because in the past, we were focusing too much on Southeast Asia. But after listing, we actually expanded our network even more into other countries like Myanmar, India. And now this year, we are going to target countries like US and all that. Because why? We see an opportunity. When they have trade war with China, then I think this is an opportunity for other countries to sell something into the country.
I have maybe last three questions. One is from the Facebook and the other two is probably mine. So the one on the Facebook is basically asking about FX, right? Like Forex.
Okay.
Because 80% of your products are being exported. Like what are the foreign currency are you exposed to? And what is like the sensitivity towards bottom line? And do you guys have any hedging mechanism?
Okay, cool explain.
For this one, actually, majority of our raw material is purchased in US dollar. So our sales, majority of our sales is export sales. So we are natural hedge in terms of US dollar in our daily operation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sensitivity, good.
Regarding this sensitivity, according to our last year financial report, which is 2019, so every 1% changes in US dollar, they will have effect of 70,000 in our profit. This is based on the year 19 result. So for the this year 21, we have to wait for the coming annual report, which will be published next year and next month.
Okay, thank you, Kun. And yeah, the second last question is basically, you know, where do you see Techbond in 5 years' time?
In terms of?
Let's just say whatever lah.
Geographical region.
What is your vision? What's your plan for 5 years? Like, you know,
I think the next 5 years, our focus will be very much on the polymer and palm oil adhesive. Because if let's say our polymer, after we can self-supply, then after we can target new segment, and the remaining 30%, if we can sell polymer, I think very big chance we will expand our polymer line. Then we will move slowly to a bit upstream. Because why? Polymer industry, I mean the selling of polymer, that segment is actually very big in China. There is a possibility that we can actually set up a plant in China to sell polymer. Yeah. So next 5 years, I mean this is something that we will focus. as well as the palm oil glue, because you will see the whole industry is moving towards panel furniture. Most of the household goods that we buy, very seldom you'll buy a solid piece of furniture, except nowadays the solid wood becomes a luxury, but most of the time you only buy one piece or two piece. Other than that, most of your kitchen cabinet or your cabinets will be using panel furniture, the chipboard or MDF board. Then you choose the skin, you laminate the skin. Yeah, so this is how the trend goes.
Okay.
Ming answer is very academic, very technical. If make it in a very short sentence, it's like, if today is better than yesterday, tomorrow definitely better than today. That is a short answer. The long answer is, how many movies have you watched in James Bond? If James Bond movie can last for more than 50 years, equally for Techbond, because both end up with the same word bond.
What about the shorter answer? Maybe you can just say, in 5 years' time, I expect my market cap to be 1 billion.
Market cap, this is depending on the market. I think what we need to do is actually to take care of fundamental, to make sure we really add value to our customer. That is the whole fundamental of the company.
Yeah, and yeah, basically the last question from me is basically, Meng, what in your company, right? What stresses you the most? Like, what stresses you out the most? Like, what makes you, what keeps you awake at night?
I think
Ming, you can answer anything besides say what made you wake up like it's not your girlfriend, okay? Joke only, please continue.
Yeah, I think the whole company, we have to be very fact basis. Any company will always depend on their main asset, which is people, right? So it's a very big thing on how you make your people grow, how you take care of people, how you make sure your people grow together with you. I think that is a very big thing, and the main focus that we want to do now is actually to grow our people as well, and then they will go and grow the market. But it's always the people that keep me in mind, that what we need to do, how we can make sure that we work as a team to really grow the team together. Yeah.
What Ming try to share with everyone, that to manage the business in terms of production, in terms of R&D process, in terms of packaging, delivery, that is still very much on standard operating procedure. Once you perfect the process, but to manage the human, to grow the human being, to run together with him in the battlefield, that is a bigger challenge he need to undertake, and he need to shoulder. From the day I know him, that he started as a head of the marketing before the listing. After the listing, a year or two later, he had been appointed and upgrade to become the deputy MD. Not yet upgrade to MD, but already deputy MD. The maturity and the role played by him is not only on marketing alone, but overall the whole direction and the management of the company, how to take care of each and every single aspect. I think that is not the only element keep him awake at night, but that is the thing that keep him alert and wake up every day morning. That is a bigger challenge, but he willing to shoulder it, despite his age is just 31 years old. Maybe another 5 more years, he's no longer MD, he will become member of parliament very soon, then minister next one. So Rondi, answer your question. What's the mission and vision? Member parliament, minister of Kota Kemuning. Joke only.
Okay. So, Mr. Lee, any final words you want to share with our community from your company? Maybe what do you want them to remember about your company?
I think the most important thing for today, or the whole objective of today's sharing, is actually to get everyone to understand about Techbond. A lot of times I find it that a lot of people, they don't understand glue very much. So when they see our glue, they will think, oh, just another manufacturing company. But if possible, all I need from everybody is actually go to YouTube, open up the corporate video, open up our application video, the 2 minutes video, you will see where glue is being used, and you will understand how unlimited potential is this market in I mean the glue industry. It's actually everything in this room uses glue. If I switch my camera around, the glass on the wall is using glue to stick, right? This panel, all the color panel, all the cloth inside the foam, the cloth is actually using glue to stick to the foam. Because without sticking it, you will see all the pocket, different pocket. The table that we are sitting here is using glue. The chair, leather that we are sitting, this leather is actually using glue to stick to the foam. The flooring is using glue. The paint is using glue. So a lot of things is using glue. Even all these bottles, all the labels sticking on the PET bottle is also using glue. Glue is a very big industry. So all I hope is that more people will understand about the glue industry, and it's a very technical industry. It's not just another manufacturing company. Yeah, I think that's my conclusion, and I hope that I achieved the objective today.
I believe you have already achieved the objective, because we are all very excited with your palm oil adhesive project as well as your new polymer in Vietnam. So looking forward to see more progress update from your company. All the best. Any last word, Mr. Yap Singh and Rondi?
Rondi,
you
you
so much.
speak
Yeah.
first.
No, just thanks for everyone for tuning in, and thanks Seming for for sharing about your company.
From my end will be probably Techbond is one and the only one industrial glue or industrial adhesive company listed on Malaysian Stock Exchange. You can't find any on Malaysian Stock Exchange. The only comparison you can get is Sika AG or HB Fuller, or even this Henkel listed in Frankfurt or New York Stock Exchange. Therefore, this company is very niche market with under the normal circumstances or normal operating environment, the gross profit margin is about 30%. The net profit margin about 15%. You can't find any in Malaysia with this kind of very good profit margin. Normally for the niche market player like Techbond, small turnover, high profit margin. Compared with some other industry, big turnover, but thin margin like EMS industry. So we hope you track the development of company. Here we are not give you any buy and sell recommendation. Our common disclaimer is not on the slide we received from Rondi and Minte. Our disclaimer is, if you make money, we are very happy with you. If you lose money, don't call us. Call Rondi and Minte, please. Okay, now your turn for disclaimer. We had to say bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you everyone for being such a good audience and asking so many quality questions. I hope you enjoyed tonight's sharing. That's all. Good night. Bye-bye everyone.
Yep.
Thank you, Sedman. Thank you, Yap Singh. Thank you, Rondi. Bye.
Good night, guys.